Hello, everybody. I'm Sam Jones. Welcome into Perspectives. Good to have you here today. Now, normally we would go right to our first guest, but I'm going to put the brakes on that for just a minute because there's something I need to bring up. I need to issue a warning to all of the viewers. You already know about the damage from the hurricane. We've seen so much of it on TV. We've read about it in the newspaper. The people down there are absolutely stripped of everything. They don't have clothes. They don't have sanitary napkins. They don't have washcloths. They don't have anything. They don't have money. So the question comes, what can I do? Well, one thing I can tell you you don't want to do. Very soon you're going to start to see on commercial television ads popping up, send your money to us and we'll make sure it gets to those victims. Don't send them your money. Do not send them your money. If you want to do something, get hold of your church or your mosque or your synagogue or the Salvation Army. Find out where to send the money. Your church may have something going, or your synagogue, or the Salvation Army. I trust those entities. You should too. And these people need all the help they can get and all the clothing they can possibly lay their hands on. They've lost everything. I read last night that the death count was up to 180. This morning it's up to 195. And by the time this show airs, it's going to be over 200. 600 are still missing. I mean, these people have nothing. But don't be tempted by the charlatans that are going to come along and say, hey, send your money to me, we'll make sure it gets there. I just wanted to get that warning out. So please pay attention. Do not throw your coins away. Now, we have a very special guest in the studio today, somebody I've known for a long time, and I haven't seen him in years, and he's gotten older, not like me. He's really aged. Wes Studi, actor, horse trainer, singer, musician, sculptor, you've done it all.
Honey just drips from your lips, doesn't it, Sam? My God, listen to you.
I want to chat with you a little bit about this incredible career you've had. How many movies and television shows have you done? I read somewhere it was in excess of 80.
I think it's in excess of 80, but I don't count. I don't want to jinx myself here, see, because I'd like to make one or two more before I retire.
You're too young to retire, man.
What is in retirement anyway, right? Right?
A beer, a dog, and a good view out the window.
Every once in a while I can enjoy that, but then how long can you do that? The dog's going to get old, the beer's going to get stale, and,
The dog's going to die.
Well, okay.
How did you get into it? How'd you get into the business?
Actually, I was reminded just earlier in makeup when I had done an interview with Becky Dixon a number of years ago. I think it was sometime maybe around the beginning of the 2000s, maybe, wherein I told the story of coming to Tulsa after going through divorce and starting my life kind of into another era.
You just skipped over that, but I want the folks to know you spent a year in the Mekong Delta, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah, it was pretty rough going.
Pretty rough going.
Yeah.
Pretty rough going. Mm-hmm.
Somebody had a plan for you.
Yeah. Well, I've been following it, whatever it is.
Well, you've done well.
Thank you. Yeah. But back to your original question. I think on that interview itself, I told Becky about what made me get involved in theater was the fact that workshops were filled with more females than males. And I just liked the percentage points on that bet.
You rascal.
Hey, I was a single man at the time. I wanted to meet new people, new situations.
Sure you did.
Start over.
Are your parents still with us, or have they passed? Have
Yes,
did they
passed,
live
yes,
long enough to see what you've accomplished, any of it?
You know, my stepdad died right before Geronimo came out in 1993. And then my mother passed away 2 years ago at the age of 93. So if you believe in the system of numbers and things like that, you know, it just makes you wonder a little bit. But in any case, no, they have passed on. And my mother, for the life of me, I could never talk her out of taking down a poster that my brother found somewhere that was almost the size of that background that you have there, of Geronimo, the face, you know, a legend that could not be forgotten. Well, he gave it to Mom, and she put it in the TV room. And every time I'd come home after that, way into the 2000s, I'd say, Mom, when are you going to take that thing down? She would just give me that look. You know, there's my wall.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So she kept that there throughout her life.
I can remember the first time I met you was back, would have been in the 80s. It would have been through the American Indian Theater Company. You were doing a production here with the theater company.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember thinking at the time, interesting fellow. That was the first time I ever met you. Your career, though, seemed to explode to me with Dances with Wolves.
Mm-hmm.
And I will never forget the scene where you were a bad Indian.
Depends on which side you're on.
Well, that's
right?
true,
Yeah.
but you had other Indians surrounding you, and it's funny to you too. I know you know where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
It took 13 or 14 of them to kill you in the movie.
Yeah. It was actually more than 13 or 14. It was maybe about 25, 30 or something like
Here
that.
we go.
Oh, yeah, I like to remind the Lakota Oglala people up there that, yeah, that was the case. It took that many of you to take out one Pawnee. You know? Well.
I think David Carradine was worked a little bit around the time you were here for the theater company. Didn't see much of him, saw a lot of you. And I just remember you as cordial, open with everybody.
David.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to work with him a couple of times. Well, with Black Elk Speaks, that the Indian Theater did put on, and then later I worked with him in a film, a Western, had to do with Christmas, I think. I don't remember the title. But yeah, he remained consistently a personable guy.
It's an interesting thing to me that it's almost like you got out of bed one morning and said, by golly, I'm going to be a successful actor, because your career has just gone steadily upward. Do you ever feel like somebody's been looking over your shoulder? Or
I wish that were the case, but actually I traded my soul to the devil for the opportunity. Yeah.
don't try this at home, kids.
So, you know, in the afterlife, you know, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, I made a deal and said, okay, take me to the top, or as far as you can push me up there, and we'll see what happens afterwards.
Well, you've triggered a lot of moments for me. I didn't know, for example, that you were an Avatar. I had no idea.
I was one large blue fella in that.
Mm-hmm.
And amazingly enough, I got to reprise my character in Avatar 3 just this past February. We shot some scenes and had kind of an old Avatar reunion with James and the producer who we lost, John, this last February.
You've got a reputation, Wes, for making sure that how Indians, regardless of the tribe, how they're portrayed on camera, how they're dressed, what they would do, how they would act. Some tribes, particularly tribes in the plains, were warriors all the time and didn't like anybody very much. We had a few woodland tribes that were that way too. But your reputation for authentic portrayal has been out there almost since the day you exploded on the screen. Where does that come from?
That comes from the idea that humans are essentially, I believe, to be good. You know, there's the theory that humans are born good and become bad, or there's that dichotomy of thought on that matter. But I think essentially we are born good, and we do things for good purposes. It's like my character you were calling bad a few minutes ago. The reason he was doing what he was doing was for the good of himself and his people. Mm-hmm. And essentially, I think that's what helps us and hurts us at the same time, because helping his own people meant that he had to destroy others, or at least, conflict has to be resolved one way or another. And I think that essentially, even if the deed is considered bad by society and others around, a person will usually do whatever it is for survival, and it's for the good of themselves and their people in whatever instance they are. And that's what I try to portray in terms of other things like clothing, and or that authenticity helps a film, I think, helps a story in every way you can imagine. And the human element we really have to bring to screen as much as possible, because, you know, the bad guy, you know, is not always the bad guy. You know, it depends on if you're playing the bad guy, you know that you're doing what you're doing not out of malicious things, not malicious reasons, but more than likely you're doing it for the purpose of survival and or that kind of thing. But I'm getting redundant here.
Let's go to the project you're about to unveil here in Tulsa, or in Tulsa. I'm not going to ask you about Miss Ward, but what was her connection with the Cherokee tribe? What I'm after here is why is she pointed to as a standout? What did she contribute? What did she do to cause folks to write a production about her?
Nancy Ward was considered one of the first, maybe not the first, but a beloved woman of the Cherokee because of her dedication to her family and to her clan and to the overall of her Cherokee communities. Mm-hmm. And the reason that she was elevated to that status was because of her dedication to her husband and to her people in defense of Cherokees when they were fighting battles with I think it may have started with the times that we were fighting the Muskogee Creek people, and wherein her husband was killed and she took up his mantle and continued to fight with the men to the point that she was considered a war woman at that time. But as time went on, her idea of war changed into endeavors for peace simply because she saw the horrors of war, which is something that peacemakers really need to have in their minds, the actual reality of the horrors of war that she brought to the fore and worked tirelessly to establish peace amongst the Cherokee people, the Muskogee Creek people around, as well as the British, the French, and the upcoming Americans at that time. Mm-hmm. And that was her legacy lives on today because of writers like Becky Hobbs and Nick Sweet, who put this particular production together on paper, and it continues to promote the idea of her legacy, that peace is better than war, that peace is actually the absence of war, and I think it's a very humane and wonderful goal to work towards for people, and we like, especially in the kind of world we live in at the present time, it's, I think, a message that that needs to be considered by all.
We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, got a couple of things I want to ask you about. When you get a script, how you handle it, what you look for, how in depth do you go with it at a part, and what really makes you say, yeah, I'll do this. We'll be back with more from Wes Studi right after this.
We're going to preach.
And we're back talking with Wes Studi. Where do you keep your Oscar?
In the barn?
In the barn?
No, I joke. No, it's in my living room. It's in my living room. Yeah, where everybody can see it.
How many Emmys have you got?
None.
Well, it's time to get one.
Well, yeah, everything is moving to television these days, so yeah, maybe so.
I see a lot of mainline actors, such as yourself, doing commercials. I hope you don't see that in your future, although they pay well.
They pay well, yeah. And yeah, well, and they keep your insurance up.
Which is not anything to be sneezed at.
Nothing to be sneezed.
How would you go about encouraging young actors, particularly Indian actors, to get into the business, to try to make a difference?
I would simply say that do it for good reasons, and do it for your own, to sustain yourself, but be willing to invest in yourself, and be aware that you're in for some surprises if you're in the business just to become famous or to make money. Mm-hmm. You know, I would give it some consideration as to if you really want to be an actor, consider the life of an actor. And that reminds me of the first time that I went out to Los Angeles. I had my good friend, I don't know if you remember Bob Hicks or not.
I do.
Bob Hicks and I were driving down Franklin Avenue around Highland, where there's an old church where a lot of us would go to auditions, where that's where people would hold auditions for different projects. And we were driving by there, stopped at the stoplight, and I looked over, and there's a man sleeping in the doorway there. And Bob noticed I was looking at him for a good long while and turned back around, and Bob looked at me and said, "He came out here to be an actor." I thought, well, okay, Bob, are you helping me here, or are you suggesting I go home?
It's not an easy life,
Yeah.
but it's an art. The whole thing figures into the arts, and there a lot of folks say, "Well, I think I'll be an actor." They don't realize how tough it is.
It's work.
Yeah.
It's work. It's all work that most people don't consider when it comes to terms of how much time we put into learning, rehearsing, looking for work, that kind of thing, and then creating. It's like in the music business. It's that's extremely hard work as well as I'm learning doing this particular musical that we're mounting for the 11th and 12th of October here. And Nanyehi is the title, about Nancy Ward.
And where's it going to be?
It's going to be at the Hard Rock Casino in what's known as Catoosa, part of Tulsa, I guess, these days, but it's the Cherokee Casino Hard Rock.
And the dates?
7:30 on the 11th and 12th of October, and that's only 2 weeks away.
Yeah, it's sneaking up on you.
It's sneaking up on us, and we're in rehearsals now. We're starting to run the whole show per rehearsal, and it's moving along smoothly. And wonderful singers in this show, I found. Oh man, there's some great ones, and I have to sing a song in it, Sam.
I was going to ask you, did you sing in this?
I have to sing a song in this.
I'm going to get my money back on the tickets.
I don't blame you. That could be the right answer for everybody. But no. I get to sing a song, but working on it. And hopefully that nobody brings raspberries or anything,
That's funny. I haven't heard that in a long time.
Tomatoes, raspberries.
We got about a minute and a half left. Wes, first of all, let me say thank you for taking time to come in and visit with us and letting the folks at home hear a little bit about what goes on in the mind of an actor, especially a successful actor. I have one more quick question, quick answer from you. When you get a call from your agent or whomever, hey, I got a script here I want you to take a look at, see what you think. What do you look for in that script?
I look for authenticity. I look for something that is different from what I've done before. And hopefully if I find it, the backup is a good offer on a financial level.
Pretty smooth,
Honestly.
Sherlock. Good for you. Hey, thank you again. Don't forget, give us the times and the location of the show.
The presentation is called Nanyehi, Beloved Woman of the Cherokee, to be presented October 11th and 12th at the Hard Rock Casino in Catoosa and/or Tulsa, Oklahoma, and curtain time is 7:30. Hope to see you there. And then I want a critique from you on my singing.
Can I give you one now?
No, I don't want to hear it.
Wes, thank you so much. You're a good friend, and I appreciate you taking time.
Oh, well, I wouldn't have missed it.
Oh.
They said Sam Jones. I said, hell yeah, let's go.
Let's go.
Excuse my language.
Thank you for joining us. We're all out of time. Go see the show. It's worth your time. In spite of his singing, you're going to love it. We'll see you next time.